Welcome to the Obesity Medicine Podcast with your host, Dr. Matea Rentia, board certified in internal medicine and obesity medicine. Here, we talk about a path to metabolic health, and we have real conversations about chronic weight management and living a full life. Just a reminder, I am a physician, but I'm not your physician. So everything that's on this podcast is for informational purposes, but please go talk to your doctor about what's right for you. There is no medical advice being given on this podcast. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. I'm actually really excited for today's episode because I don't know that I've ever done an episode that so explicitly focuses on year 2 and beyond on a GLP-1. Today is really about what to expect in year 2 of a GLP-1 treatment, but really 12 months and beyond is the focus of this. You can extrapolate year 2, 3, 4. At this point, I have patients that for over 10 years, to be honest, have been on a GLP-1, some of them 20 plus years if it was for diabetes reasons. We've had these medications a long time. Anyone out there, if you're starting a GLP-1, you're thinking, oh, I don't know, we don't have a lot of research on this. Some medications are newer, like tirzepatide that hit the market in 2022, which is Zepbound, Mounjaro, things like that. But the other ones we've had a long time. All right, so I'm going to talk about kind of 3 different areas that I think are really important to keep in mind long-term when you're on a GLP-1. When I say long-term, it means you are in this for a good amount of time. You're not planning on next week coming off of it. Remember, if you've actually had a chronic long-term weight management struggle, this is not your fault. It is a medical, genetic, endocrine, neuro. It affects every single organ system in your body when you have this as a medical condition, and these medications help manage that. So the first shift that needs to occur is that you have to go from the mindset of rapid to steady progress. Everybody repeat after me. I'm not expecting rapid progress anymore, and I'm okay with steady progress. Usually in the first 6 to 12 months, that first half year to year, things are flying. Now, I know we don't all fit this. I never fit this. I've definitely been in the more hypo responder category, although it's still been great and amazing, and I'm getting closer to that 100-pound mark. But again, it does not matter. You do not need to be in that flying off category. But most people in the first year will be seeing some changes that are a little bit faster. And then what starts to happen is that you start to plateau. You start to maintain. This does not mean that the medication has stopped working. If you didn't hear that episode, make sure that you go back. We did that very recently where I talked about that. What I really need to stress here is that you need, instead of getting those dopamine hits from the scale going down constantly, and hopefully you're using a body composition scale so you're seeing fat go down and not muscle. Okay, so when I say the scale go down, I am implying, for the rest of this episode, I am implying fat loss. Instead of focusing on that, I'm getting all these dopamine hits, I'm getting validation, my self-concept is only the way it is because of that. What we need to do is let that go, and we need to emphasize the importance of non-scale victories. Write this out if you need to. Have things improved with your metabolic health? Meaning, are your blood sugars better? Is your cholesterol better? Look at things like that. Do you have reduced cravings? Are you someone that 24/7? I mean, when I think back prior to medications years ago, I just all the time was like, can we get Dorito chips? Can we get this candy? What about that Chinese food? What about that Domino's pizza? Everything was just all the time. What combinations, what flavor profiles? How can we have it? Where can we have it? Ooh, yay, if we're alone and we can really enjoy this food. If that's improved, that's a massive win. It doesn't matter only the number. Have your energy levels changed? I've had this moment here recently where I've noticed distinctly, I have very different energy the past few years compared to prior. That is a blessing. That is not something that's guaranteed. So, and you got to quantify these things because you very quickly habituate. You get used to what's happening. So is your energy better? Is your mobility better? I can do a lot more. I don't even know that I could do the squats and the things that I'm doing before. In the past, there's no way I could have done majority of the things that I'm starting to do now. And I'm still doing very basic things, but the mobility is very different. So put into AI, go to ChatGPT, whatever you're using, and say, tell me 50 non-scale victories, and then search your life for these. If you are in fact, this is I'm realizing as I talk, I'm like, this is the moment, everybody. So in this shift, when you're going from rapid to steady progress, and you're going to start to find these non-scale victories, generate that list for yourself. This is what I would do, to be honest, if you were in 30-30, like I'm thinking to myself. In fact, I'm going to do this. Okay, I thought baby is being birthed as I'm talking. Me and my friend always joke about this. We're like, thought baby's being birthed. I would generate a list that's a mile long, and then I would search in that list what is all true for me. I would find evidence for how many things are going right, how many things are heading in the right direction, that steady progress part. This is how you change how you think about yourself. You start to let go of that this is a morality problem or I'm doing something wrong. You start to look for all the evidence of look at all the ways I'm taking care of myself and things that are going right. So I would get that non-scale victory list. I'm going to do that this week in 30-30. If you're in 30-30 this September round, you will have done this already with me by the time you hear this. And I want you to look, are any of these true? It is endless, the list of wins that you could generate. I just mentioned a few. All right, the second thing that you need to realize is that metabolic adaptations are real. What does this mean? Your body, just very simply put, it adapts to the lower weight and the reduced calorie intake that you've been having. It adapts to you moving more. It adapts to what you're doing with nutrition. When this is occurring, you might need dose adjustments. You might need a supplement added. You might need another medication added. You might need to really change lifestyle factors. What do I mean by that? Your protein intake might need to change radically. Your ability level is greatly changing as you go down this road. But with movement, this is a prime example. A lot of times I find with my patients, they are scared to increase movement because you might have come from a world. Again, a lot of people that work with me have significant challenges that they're working on, and they don't think that their body's capable of these things because they might have for 30, 40 years not have moved very much. Their ability level was hampered. And then now they can do more, but you might need some skilled help in that. You might need to hire a personal trainer. So many of you personal trainers out there, I hope some of you are listening, you're phenomenal. And some of you are going to injure us. Our job as a person that's going to hire them is going to be to vet them. Do they have other clients that have similar stories to us that might have some arthritis in the knees? Do they know how to slowly ramp you up? I have a patient where this person was out because of a foot injury. It was a fracture. After weeks and weeks of being gone from the gym, they're coming back. I can tell that the trainer is amazing because they said, hey, we're going to bring you back once a week for this really modified weight. And then we're going to, in a few weeks, have you come back to twice. And they're ramping this person up slowly. And I said, hallelujah. That trainer sounds like they know what they're doing. They didn't just say, well, I'll come back to 3 times a week. They care more about your health than their finances of upping the plan that you're on. That is part of it. Do you have to change movement? What about sleep? Has that suffered in any way? What are other things that we can change? There are always a million things that you can adjust, but keep in mind, especially year 2 and beyond, you have to keep adjusting these things. I want to tell you if there's one thing that I think I'm the champion of for my own body, it's that I never let the hypo-responder thing be a defining characteristic of me. I actually looked back and over the summer from June to, no, what was it? Over the past few months, I can't remember what it is, but I have the data. I think I'd lost 5 pounds and I wanted to judge that, okay? Because I'm like all of you and I think only, and I've had to extinguish that word in my vocabulary. But when I looked back on it, I thought, but you are so steady at the numbers that you reach. The new habits and things you do are so locked away. I'm able to keep making progress even years into this because I have built out the skill set to always see what's the next step and what's possible. I'm not as scared of hunger anymore. That used to be something that really derailed me, and I have a whole new relationship with that. I'll try to do an episode on that because some of you have asked. But these are things that have slowly evolved over time. I continue to do massive amounts of work as far as how much coaching I get and emotional processing and different movement techniques and nervous system regulation techniques. And then, of course, I bring these things into my programs as they're hitting my patients and me. But the point is, you can get so far if you don't let metabolic adaptations and things like that get you down, and you just look at, is there an emotional factor I can work on? Is there a behavioral thing I can work on? Is there a nutrition thing, a sleep thing, a stress management thing, a physician adjusting something? You will get so much further. But that's number 2. Don't let metabolic adaptations knock you out. Find the interventions that are possible. Is it a dose adjustment or what else? The third thing is that you're going to need to come from this sort of active weight loss phase to more of like long-term maintenance mode. Now, long-term maintenance mode can still mean that you're losing, but the mindset is different. The mindset, and we talked about this in number 1 above, but the mindset is no longer, I need to see these numbers going down all the time. It's really, how do I make this such that these things happen no matter what? I saw a great video the other day, and the person was talking about basically how do you make it the furthest with mindset or all the sort of successful things in life. And they talked about the 4 words that are going to change your life. I do it anyways. If you tell yourself that's a core identity where I move no matter what, I have these new food relationships no matter what. This is the most rewarding part if you can get to this. That's really the building the sustainable maintenance part of things. GLP-1 is a tool, but it's not a short-term fix. We talk about this a lot. It's included in the things you're doing, but you still have all these other areas and things that you can do. That's really when we talk about building out the sustainable part, that is a lot of where your work needs to go year 2 and beyond. Because in the beginning, everything was new. Everything was amazing. You had motivation because you were seeing things fly down all the time. Now you have to build it a completely different flame to keep you going long term. And so to recap here, you need to move step number 1 from this rapid to more steady progress. It does not mean that things aren't working. You're going to have to find a lot more wins. Number 2, metabolic adaptations are real, right? The body's adapting to the things you're doing. You are going to adjust them. And I want to say there a little nuance there. You're going to adjust one thing at a time. You don't just go ham with changing 20 things. That's not the answer. And then 3, you're really looking at the sustainability of what you're doing. And you're really looking, is this really maintenance? Now, something that occurs with maintenance, let's draw an analogy for a moment. I don't know why I always think about this. I think about hotels, how they're run. I went through this phase here recently. I think I shared this with you guys, where I was listening to a lot of books about hospitality. I don't know why. I just went down the rabbit hole, and I thought it was fascinating with running restaurants, running hotels, things like that. The thing with the hotel is for that to stay amazing over decades, and again, I'm no expert, you need to keep updating things and renovating things. The carpets need to get changed. The rooms need to get renovated every so often. Things need to continue to get changed. And this is the case too in regular homes, but I don't know why the hotels just stick out much more in my mind. You need that for maintenance. Maintenance is not this, okay, I did it and now I never again change things. In order to stay where you're at, you're going to have to keep changing things to even maintain where you're at. Maintenance is not just calories in, match calories out. I hate that thought process. Maintenance is an active process. When you're maintaining a house properly, if you think about hotels being updated, houses being updated, when you're maintaining that property, you know that you have to keep investing into it for it not to be a dump at the end of it. Like all of us have seen those houses where unfortunately someone just maybe they got chronically ill or something happened and they weren't able to maintain the home anymore. 30, 40 years later, they sell it. And this is actually the house that my parents bought, by the way, in the past. They were joking. They got a good deal on it when they were first married and moved back to the States, all those kind of things. But the house, I actually grew up in that house my whole life, but they were joking that when they went up the staircase, there was a banister and they would hold on to it and it just fell over. So it's that type of thing where it's like, you need to maintain houses with repainting and doing seasonal yard work. Otherwise, everything looks horrible. That's the same thing with your body. That's really year 2 and beyond. You need to move into what are things that I do to keep myself up. And I've got news for you. It's always going to be different. It's still a little bit of an active process. I hope that this episode was helpful for you. I want to ask you a big favor. If you liked this, please make sure to write a review wherever you're listening or share this with a friend that you think could benefit from this, because we have a very unique mix on this podcast of sort of combining not only episodes on the science and the medications, things like that, but also a lot on mindset, stuff like that. And also just, I always say real life approaches. So all of that. All right. Also, I want to just throw it out there. I know it's early, but we have actually opened enrollment for the January 30/30. What I'm doing this time, I'm capping how many get in there because I've seen that we have a perfect size right now to the September group. We will not exceed that size. So if you are someone that is wanting to do that January round, I would recommend sooner rather than later that you sign up, because we're not exceeding a certain number in there, because it's not small group anymore when there's too many people in there. All right. If you have questions about anything, again, feel free to always email me. I hope that you have an amazing rest of the week here, and we'll touch base on Friday. Take care. That marks the end of today's episode. But if you're newer to the podcast, I want to tell you about something that we have, and it's a free podcast roadmap. So this is perfect for any of you that are listening where you want to be directed to very specific episodes. So let's say that you are just starting out and you want to know, what should I do right when I start on the medications? Or you're experiencing certain side effects on the GLP-1s, or you want to know what to do if you're in a plateau, or if emotional eating is taking over, or if hunger levels are high. So we have many different categories of episodes that we've talked about, because there's a lot at this point. So if you want to be able to navigate that very easily, we have it broken down by category, and also the episodes that are there, and we hyperlink to everything. So you can just click on it and find the episode, easy peasy. If you want that, you can go to rentiaclinic.com/podcast roadmap. We'll have it linked right here underneath the show notes where you're listening. And you can go ahead and get that free resource so that it makes it easy for you to navigate, because I know that it's really hard when someone has an established podcast. I am such a podcast fiend. I'm listening to podcasts all day long. And when I find one that I love, but there's a lot that are out there, I am so lost. So I hope that you enjoy this free podcast roadmap. Again, the link to get to that is going to be rentiaclinic.com/podcast roadmap. I hope this is helpful, and let me know if you have any questions.